we are more than halfway through recasting Lord of the Rings. We finally have our fellowship and our villains in place. Check out the previous videos for those. It's time to move on to the Elves of Middle-Earth. Unlike the dwarves and men, they're immortal. They do not age, and the only way they can really be killed is by violence or extreme despair. Now, the elves typically live in natural places and practice archery. Now, the two main places that we visit with elves in Lord of the Rings is Rivendell and Lothlorien. As Tolkien described them, they're a race that are generally very tall and thin, very fair of skin, and rather beautiful. So it's important we should know that when we're trying to recast them. Now, we aren't looking for actors who don't have any wrinkles whatsoever, but more of that otherworldly feeling and that natural beauty. It's also important to note that I'm not going to be casting every single role. Instead, I'm going to be focusing on the elves that require actors who are more well known. So sorry, Haldir fans, I won't be casting him. He actually plays even a smaller role in the books than the movies, and I really don't think I need a well-known actor to portray him, because I really don't have much to grasp onto. Another one I won't be getting to is Glorfindel, who will be cast in a Forgotten Roles episode. Today we'll be tackling Galadriel, Celeborn, Elrond, and Arwen. So let's recast Lord of the Rings. First up, we have a massive one of the most important figures in all of Lord of the Rings lore, Galadriel. Her power is really unmatched within Middle-Earth, and she's actually an owner of one of the original Rings of Power given to the elves. Now, Galadriel is very wise and very old. She presents herself in a very regal, poised way, which gives her even more of an image of mystery. She's majestic with her walk and speech, but if you're talking about Galadriel, there's always one thing that comes up without fail when she's mentioned. It's her beauty. Even Gimli, who has some biases towards elves, asked for a strand of her hair and was overtaken by her beauty. So that's really important when casting this actor. Her beauty needs to be unmatched. Also, the character is supposed to be extremely tall, much taller than any other elf woman, standing around 6'4". Now, Cate Blanchett killed this role. Her grace and attention to her speech is perfect and wonderful for the character itself. Other than that one moment, you know the moment, I love the scenes with her in the film. It's not a massive role, but it's one that requires those qualities and that grace. I went with Elizabeth Debicki for this role. You may not know her name, but you might know her face. She's a model and an actress, and she definitely has that look. Have you seen her in her movies before? She stands out amongst the bunch, which we want. She's gorgeous and has that frame, is 6'3" and is tall and skinny. I know her from her role in Widows, where she's incredible, but you most likely know her as the Gold Lady from Guardians of the Galaxy, where she kind of shows a touch of what she'd be like as Galadriel. Of course, less angry, but still that high and mighty persona.
They are perturbed I've wasted our resources. When they see what I have created here, their wrath will dissipate. That, my child, is the next step in our evolution. More powerful, more beautiful, more capable of destroying the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I shall call him Adam.
I do not cast actors based just solely on looks. And Elizabeth Debicki is the real deal. She's incredible in everything I've seen her in. Although she isn't an extremely well-known actor, she's making her way there. I believe her presence on screen is a lot more mature than how many credits she has to her name. She'd be really interesting in the role of Galadriel. So Elizabeth Debicki as Galadriel. Next up, we have Galadriel's husband, Celeborn. Now, Celeborn is always overshadowed by his wife. He's a very skilled warrior, but he's more known for being by Galadriel's side. Now, he does rule with his wife, but in his role of Lord of the Rings, he's definitely sidelined. He isn't a major player in the story, but he deserves to be more than just a background actor. I'd like to see an actor bring him to life with the same poise that Galadriel has. An actor who can play authority and royalty while having that heart of a warrior. That's why I went with Matthew Good. He has that voice and the persona I'm looking for to really help bring the character to life and make him more fleshed out.
I have a different sense of time to you. When humans talk about climate change, that's exactly the argument they use. Oh, the polar ice caps will take so many years to melt. Who cares? I remember when the Thames iced over every winter. I used to skate on it. One day there'll be just one species. Humans.
He wouldn't be just a character in the background. I'd be really interested to see the relationship between him and Galadriel. Matthew Goode is calm and powerful in his speech and stance, and I'd really like to see him as Celeborn. So Matthew Goode as Celeborn. On to the Rivendell elves. First up, we have Elrond. Similar to Galadriel, Elrond requires that very wise and regal persona. He's a seasoned veteran of war, and he actually fought against Sauron. Elrond, again, is a very limited role, but one that requires an actor with the same gravitas that Hugo Weaving brought to the role. You know Elrond's role within Middle-Earth within seconds of him speaking, and the way he presents and carries himself when on screen. Now with Elrond, I went with a different choice, Jude Law. On paper, you may not see him in the role because he mainly plays characters with sarcasm and quip, but that's the Jude Law of the past. Jude Law has reinvented himself as an actor who has really turned in some incredible performances. He's amazing as young Dumbledore, but I'm really looking at his role in Young Pope to see how he'd work as Elrond.
This is the sort of merchandise I'm prepared to authorize.
But it doesn't have your image in it.
I do not have an image, my good lady, because I am no one. You understand? No one. Only Christ exists. Only Christ. And I am not worth 45 or even 5 euros. I am worth nothing.
Now, it's not an exact fit of character, but it shows his poise and grace within a role of such magnitude. He talks with a certainty that Elrond should. I also believe he has the look for the role. He's moved past his pretty boy phase, but still has those features of an elf, but one who's seen battle and is a little bit more worn. So Jude Law as Elrond. Finally, we have Arlen. This was the toughest to cast for me. Now, I'm not a massive fan of Liv Tyler in other movies, but much like many actors in this series, she gives a career best performance. She is both fierce in the love and war of the character. I really like what the movies did with her character, making her more of a badass with an action scene in the beginning. I know she has a smaller role in the books, but I really enjoy what they did in the films. Therefore, I want an actress who can take on that action scene if need be, but she still needs to have that fair skin and that elven look that is so iconic with Arwen. I had many options to go with, but I eventually landed on Rooney Mara. She has the look for the character, but more importantly, if we decide to go back with that badass route, similar to the movies, she can really handle her own. She did a fabulous job in the really underrated Girl with a Dragon Tattoo.
I tried to kill my father. Burned him alive. Got about 80% of him.
She's been one of my favorite actresses working today. She always surprises me. There's a ton of variation in her roles. Everything from Carol to her to The Social Network. She's really an actress who can do anything.
But the path and goes into darkness.
And I will walk it with you.
She can change her voice and demeanor in seconds. I'd really love to see what she does with Arwen because I think she'd make some really interesting choices and have that character just be so much more than the book originally wrote. I also think she'd have some really great chemistry with Michael Fassbender, who I casted as Aragorn. I can see them in a flashback episode, maybe them growing up, or to simpler times. So Rooney Mara as Arwen. So there are your Elves of Middle-Earth, at least the bigger characters. As always, comment below letting me know your choices. I'm always really interested to see. If you're interested in seeing Elizabeth Debicki in the role of Galadriel, check out Azard, who's been doing deepfakes for my recastings. And thank you so much to this video sponsor, Rocky Mountain Barber Company. With over 300,000 guys worldwide using their hair, beard, face, and body care products daily, you're guaranteed to find something that will wake you up in your morning routine. When they reached out, they sent me some sample products, and I've been using the pomade ever since, and I'm loving it. I've also been growing a quarantine beard, which my wife hates, but their beard oil is making it a lot less scratchy. So go to their website and check out their shaving club, as well as their full line of products. Link is in the description below. As always, thank you to my patrons, Adam Gray, Jeremy Jacobs, Jenny Edwards, Gabe Marchanda, Gunnar Legland, Colleen West, Marco Perry, Roland, Aiden McShange, Lon Hudson, Kieran Hunt, Shoris Conan, Brandon Warner, Sweevy, Alex Towell, Derek B. Bell, Jacob Wolf, Alexander Gardulo, Lisa Hewer, and Rachel Kilker. Thank you for your support, guys, and I'll see you in the future.